Welcome. We'll see two more applications of stack. Okay. So far you have seen the prefix and postfix applications using stack. Now we'll see balance, parenthesis check, and then recursion. So recursion I have covered already in depth in Python for GateDA, and in C programming I'll do it in GateCSD. Okay. Now how to check the parentheses are balanced or not. So what exactly this means? When I write a program or any expression, so we'll bracket them, right? So in some order. So whenever I open something, I have to close it. That is one thing. And in which order I open the brackets, in the same order, I have to close them. So for that, we will use a stack to check. Now, so what is the algorithm? It's very simple. When you encounter a opening bracket in your expression or program, just push onto the stack. So when you encounter closing bracket, so you have to check if stack is empty. If stack is empty, that means it is unbalanced. That means, for example, if I encounter this one, there is nothing in this stack. That means what? So there is no matching opening bracket for this. This one is not found. So it is imbalanced. Okay, unbalanced. Else you pop the top element. And then if it does not match the bracket type, then again it is unbalanced. For example, if there is parenthesis like this present. Now if I pop this, okay, and then check with this, they are not matching. So it is not balanced. Okay. At the end of the expression, once you complete the expression tracing, if stack is empty, then only it means balanced. There should not be any parenthesis left in the stack. Otherwise, it is unbalanced. So the condition is the matching bracket type is not enough. An empty stack at closing bracket should always an indication to check it. Okay. Once you match, there should be non-empty stack at the end. A non-empty stack indicates imbalance. Well, let's see an example. So it's very simple. So you assume a stack. So initially you go on scanning the expression from left to right. So whenever I encounter a bracket, opening bracket, push it. Whenever I encounter closing bracket, pop the top of the stack. So first one is the flower bracket. So I'll push it. Then comes the square bracket. So push it. So they are opening brackets. Then comes the parenthesis, opening parenthesis. So push it. Okay. Then A, operands and operators you just ignore. Okay. Then now you encounter the closing bracket. So closing bracket. So then you have to pop this top. Okay. So and then put it here. Then compare them. Are they same? That means same means this is the closing bracket. So is it the corresponding opening bracket? Okay, that is true. So hence it is at this point it is balanced. Next star, ignore it. Then comes again opening bracket. So again you have to insert it on the stack. So I will again insert it on the stack. Then C, ignore, minus ignore, D, ignore. Then again closing bracket, closing parenthesis. Then you have to pop this and then check with this. Are they matching? Yes. So it is at this point balanced. Then closing square bracket. So now you have to pop the top of the stack. So square bracket. So I encountered closing square bracket. What I popped is opening square bracket. So it is a correct match. Then plus ignore, E also ignore. Then flower bracket, closing flower bracket. So to pop this. So and then compare this. So it's a correct match. So this expression is balanced with parenthesis. Okay, this is how you check. One more example. Let us take the stack again. So opening bracket, push it on the stack. Then opening square bracket, push it. Then opening flower bracket, push. Then A, comma operator B. Then we have encountered the closing flower bracket. So pop the top element in the stack. So compare with this. Is it the matching opening flower bracket? Yes. So it is at this point balanced. Then plus ignore. Then push the opening parenthesis in the stack. Ignore C. Then you got the closing square bracket. So now what is that you are going to pop? You're going to pop the top this stack. This is. So now if you see they are not correct, right? Because closing bracket is square bracket, opening is the parenthesis, the opening parenthesis. So it is incorrect. So you can stop at this point only. So the expression is unbalanced. It's not balanced. Now, one more little bit bigger example. So first you encounter the opening square bracket. push it, then opening parenthesis, push it, ignore A plus, and then opening flower bracket, push it, ignore B star C, then closing flower bracket. So pop this element. Are they match? Yes. Then closing parenthesis. Pop this. Are they match? Yes. Now ignore minus, push again this bracket in the top, in the stack top. Then ignore D slash, then opening square bracket. Push it on the stack. Ignore all this, then you got the closing square bracket. Pop this. This is a match. Then I encountered parenthesis. So pop this, match this. Yes, this is a match. And the last one is square bracket. So pop this, match with this. Yes. So it is balanced. This is how we check the parentheses are balanced or not using a stack. The next important application is recursion. Okay. So in depth, I have already explained in Python programming for GateDA and C programming for Gate Computer Science and IT. So anyhow, I will again explain here what is the how the stack is used. Okay. So why we need a stack for recursion? The recursion means a function calls itself again and again, okay, directly or indirectly. So whenever I call a function, see for example, I'll start with a function, okay, say n. Then I go on defining inside this function only. I'll say call n minus 1. That means what same function is being called. So some operations it is doing, for example, say okay, some n value it has tracking. So when I make this call, so whatever I have done work till this point should be stored somewhere, right? Because I'm overwriting that. So x will again be used. So for that reason, what I will do when I make that call, so f of n, first I will push it on the stack. Means what? All the variables, or we call it a stack frame. Okay, whatever related to this, all the variables, all the data or operations that you have done so far in this first function call, that we call it as frame, a memory frame. Okay, f of n, x, whatever it is. So I represent it by f of n. So all will be stored in the stack. Then it calls f of n minus 1. So again, when f of n minus 1 calls the next one, right? It is recursive till I reach the base case. This is recursion. So I'm going pushing like this on the stack because the previous values I need again for calculations. So once it starts returning after the base case, then I will pop one by one. So stack is required because the order in which you go, okay. So in the reverse order you have to come back. So whatever function finishes last, okay, that result will be given to the previous one. So that is the reason why I use stack. Okay. So because of the last in first out behavior. G of n equal to 0 if n equal to 0. So this is the base case. And if n greater than 0, then you do n plus g of n minus 2. So this is a recursive call. So now if you write, so if they are asking for g of 6, how many activation records are pushed into total before the base case is reached? What value does the returning call add? Okay. So they are asking the return value for this, and then how many stack activation records are pushed. So what it is doing, it is n plus g of n minus 2. So initially function starts with g of 6. Okay. So now if I write it a simple pseudocode, if n equal to 0, return 0. Okay, this is the base case. Then if not, n is greater than 0, then you do the recursive call, add n plus g of n minus 2. Every time subtract by 2. Now you start. So what is this? Starting with g of 6. G of 6. Let us have a stack. G of 6, first initially 6, n is not equal to 0, 6 is not equal to 0. So what should I do? I have to execute the recursive case, that is n plus, that is 6 plus g of n minus 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. Okay. So before I make this call, I have to push it on the stack. G of 6 is on the stack. Then now before making g of 4 call, I have to push it on the stack. So let us represent as 6 plus g4. Then I will make this call. So 4 is not equal to 0 again. It becomes 4 plus f of 2. Okay, because every time decrementing by 2. Now before making this call again, I have to push this on stack. 4 plus f of 2. Now f of 2 will call f plus f of 0. Right. So now Before I make this call, push this on the stack 2 into f of 0. Now you make the call f of 0. So f of 0 now, n has become equal to 0, hence return 0. So it starts returning the value. This returns 0. So this is 2 plus. So this returns 0. So value will be 2. This 2 will be returned to this. Then so f of 2 will get 2. This makes it 6. So this 6 will be returned to g of 4. So here g of 4 becomes 6. So it will 12. So this 12 is returned to g of 6. So finally 12 will be returned. Okay. So this is how you do. So what is how many activation records? So 1, that is nothing but stack depth 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 activation records, or maximum stack depth is 4. One more example. Here you have multiple recursions. Let us try to understand this carefully. Okay. So here only one stack will be used. Don't think that there are 2 function calls. So 2 stacks will be used. No. So only one stack will be used. And then they're asking for h of 4. Is the call stack depth equal to the total number of calls made? The question is the stack depth, maximum stack depth equal to the number of function calls? It may not be true. Okay, we'll see in this problem. Explain using the actual push pop sequence and the state the maximum depth reached. Okay, so what this function is doing, if n is less than or equal to 1, so you return 1, else h n minus 1 plus h of n minus 2. Okay, now you have to call using initially h of 4. Okay, n, if you take n, I'm calling it as n as 4 initially. Now let's see how it works. So for this, you draw a tree, okay, recursion tree. It will be easy to find out. So let's start with the initial. What is that? You have h of starting with 4. So it is making 2 calls recursion till n becomes less than or equal to 1. Okay. Till n is less than or equal to 1, you go on doing the recursive call. So this is the addition operation in between. They are doing addition for 2 separate recursive calls. So this is calling h n minus 1. So 4 minus 1 is 3. This is calling h n minus 2. So it becomes 2. Then this will call h 3 minus 1, 2. And this side it will call h 1. Here h 1, h 0. Okay. So in between addition operation. So they will add these 2 results and then send it to h3. That is the meaning. Next, this will still call h of 1, h of 0. So to continue till what? N is less than or equal to 1. Okay. Here it will call. See, it will stop here, right? Because n is less than or equal to 1. Then here it is again, it will stop here. Here also it will stop because it is less than or equal to 1. So now, now let's see actually how the stack is working. I didn't purposely put it on the stack when I started that. First, let us build the recursion tree like this. Okay, then it will be easy. Now they are asking what is the maximum stack depth, and they are asking is that equal to the number of function calls. How many function calls I have made here? If I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that means is the maximum stack depth is 9. So that is wrong. Okay, we'll see in this example. See actually how this recursion works, because there are 2 function calls now. See, it always follows pre-order traversal. Okay, in the binary trees, I will explain again in trees concept in the next chapter. So pre-order means just like a prefix. Their operator comes first, right? So if I write a plus b, you write it as plus ab is the prefix. This is the infix. This is the prefix. So here are same thing. Here you have, this is a parent or root node. Then you have left child and right child. So whenever I trace, always pre-order means root will come first, then left, then right, in this order. Okay. Here this is root, left and right. So now before you see the stack activation, just number this in the pre-order. Then it will be easy to find the number of, find the maximum stack depth. See, stack activations will be 9. How many function calls you make, that many stack activations, definitely. Because I am making 9 function calls totally. So 9 activations will happen, stack activations will happen. But what is the maximum stack depth? So what is the stack depth? Because push and pop both are taking place. So till what point? Or how many slots you are used in this stack is the question. That is the maximum stack depth that it can reach for this function. So now we'll start numbering them. So you have to do the pre-order. So how this recursion is executing inside is, it will follow the pre-order. That means which calls will be executed, we'll see now in that orders. So always start with the root 1. This is first executed. So when it executes, you have to put it on the stack. So later we'll put it. First we'll number it. Then left. Okay. Then you cannot go to right now here. So it has to go towards completely left. Okay. All the roots and then all the left and then all the rights. So next it will be 3 here. It will go and execute this. First H4, then H3, then H2, then you have H1. So 4. So at this point, if you observe what is the stack, initially I started calling H4, then inside H4 it called H3, inside H3 it called H2, then inside H2 it called H1. Okay. Now, once this is done, it is going to return your value. Okay, what is the value it returns? It returns 1. So it starts returning at this point 1. Okay, so I have to do what here now? I have to pop it, right? Because 1 has to be sent to the previous caller. Then this now to calculate h of 2, because they are plus here, right? To calculate h of 2, I need h of 0. So now it makes the call. Okay, so now this becomes 5 fifth call. So you have push it on the stack now. Then it returns 1. Okay, when it returns, I have to pop it again. Hope you are getting it. Next. So this h of 2, now we'll get the value. What value it gets? So it is 1 plus 1, 2. So it gets 2. So it is also popped now. Then h of 2. H of 2 returns 2 to the previous caller H3. For H3, it also needs H1. Okay. So it will push H1 here on this stack now. Okay. So what will be the order here? It will become the 6th call. Okay. This is the order it is executing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then this 6. Okay. I will get H of 1. So it returns. So you again pop this. It returns. 1 is H of 1 means 1. Okay. 1, 2 plus 1 is 3. So it gets the value 3. Okay. Now H of 3 should return to H of 4. So this is popped. What it returns? It returns 3. Now, what is the next call made? So it wants H of 4 to execute, it wants H of 2. Okay. So this will become 6, 7th call. Okay. So I have to push it on the stack. So where is stack stop now? Here, H of 2. Then it internally calls H1. So I'll put H1 here, H1 on the stack. So this is the 8th call made. Then this H1 returns. So it is again popped. So it returns 1. So for H2, I need H0. So again it calls H0. Put it on the top of the stack. Okay. Now, so H0 returns 1. So 1 is given to this. So 1 plus 1, 2. So H of 2 gets 2. Now H of 2 is popped and then sends 2. Then 3 plus 2. H of 4 calculates 3 plus 4. Finally, this will be popped. Okay, that will be 5. 5 is the result. So now, how many stack activations you have done? See, exactly you have done 9 stack activations. See, all the function calls is the stack activation. It requires 1 stack activation. You have pushed them, later you have popped them. Now, if you see the maximum stack depth I used. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So maximum stack depth is 4 only, not 9. Number of calls I made is 9. Number of stack activation is also 9. Because for each call I need a 1 stack activation. This is 9. So this is how you solve for multiple recursion in the same function call. Thank you for watching. In the next video, we'll solve practice problems on the concept of stacks and its application. Please like, subscribe.